Hi everybody, my name is Nicole Boyle, and I am going to be presenting on my community in Sunbury, Pennsylvania. Over on the right hand side you can see a map of the city that I screenshot from my Maps app on my phone. I couldn't find a good map of the city on Google, but you can see here this is the city, and to the left of the city runs the Susquehanna River. And we will talk more about Sunbury as we go. Some history about the city. It was officially settled as a community back in 1772. Sunbury is home to Fort Augusta, and Fort Augusta played a role in the Revolutionary War. It was a military headquarters for the American forces in the upper Susquehanna Valley during the war. Another fun fact about the city is that it is home of the first ever building to be wired for electricity, and I included a picture down here. It is the Hotel Edison, named after, obviously, Thomas Edison. Predominantly, it is apartments right now. It used to have a bar and restaurant down on the first floor, but unfortunately during COVID it closed. Some demographics about the city. The population in 2021 was 9,661. The age distributions of that 9,661, 5.4% were under 5 years old. 23% were under 18, and 19.5% were over 65. This picture I included on the right-hand side is an old picture from Sunbury, I would say probably in the 1950s. This is downtown, our downtown Market Street. You can see it was very popular. There were a lot of businesses. It does not look like that today. There are still businesses downtown, but it is not as popular as it was back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Some more demographics about the city. Sunbury is predominantly Caucasian. 91.9% of the residents are Caucasian. 1.8% are African American. 5.5% are Hispanic and Latino. And 3.4% are two or more races. The gender distribution of residents in the city, 53.5% are female and 46.5% are male. The crime rate in the city, according to city data in 2020, is 23, and that is about 11 times smaller than the national average. Most of the common crimes within the city are nonviolent thefts, burglaries, and assaults. According to city data, the last recorded murder in the city was in 2015. This isn't updated onto the websites yet, but there was just recently, in May of 2022, another murder, and I know that because I'm a resident of the city. I included some pictures of our police department. Over here, the top picture is of the new city police department building. They moved in last year, and you can see some of the police officers in the city. The guy over here in white is our police chief. His name is Brad Hare. And then the guy all the way over here on the right is our mayor, Josh Brocious. Down on the bottom, the photo is the old Sunbury Police Department on Market Street. And here is just a Sunbury police cruiser. The education in the city, so 88.9% of residents over 25 have a high school diploma, and then it drops way down. Only 8.7% of residents over 25 have a bachelor's degree. I suspect the reason this is because the people who graduated from Shikellamy, went on to college and got a degree, ended up going where there are more opportunities in their field. We'll talk about a little bit how Sunbury isn't home to a whole lot of businesses and opportunity, so I think that's probably the reason that only 8.7% of the residents in the city have a bachelor's degree. Sunbury is a part of the Shikellamy School District. Within the district, there's 3 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and 1 high school. Of all of those schools, within the city limits is 1 elementary school and the high school. And right here is a picture of Shikellamy High School in Sunbury. Income and poverty in the city. So the median household income in 2021 is $37,851. Just under 20% of the residents live below the poverty level as of 2021. I included a picture over here. This is Haven Ministries. It is a homeless shelter that we have in the city. Haven Ministries also has a big food cupboard. If there's anybody in need in the city, they can call Haven Ministries and they'll give them a big food box. They do a lot for the residents, and the homeless shelter also serves people outside of the city as well. Formal institutions that we have within the city. There are not a lot of major employers, but there are a few. The biggest is probably Weis Markets. Some of you may be familiar with Weis's. It is a grocery store chain that actually originated right here in Sunbury. I'm not sure if this picture of Weis Markets is the very first store or not, but they employ a lot of people. In Sunbury, there's this Weis's, and there's also another one. We also have a meat plant and an ice cream plant in the city. I think Weis's actually expanded. Well, they're all over the state. I know they're in New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, and New York. So, but they originated right here in Sunbury, so that's pretty cool. We also have Fresh Roasted Coffee, which is a coffee production company in the city. We have Sunbury Motor Company, which is a pretty large car company. And we also have Northumberland County Courthouse, and all of the county agencies are in the city. We have Northumberland County Mental Health, Intellectual Disabilities, Children and Youth, Probation. All of those offices are located in the city. And this picture up here is a picture of the courthouse. As far as educational institutions go, we have Lackawanna College, the Sunbury branch campus. It just opened up, I'd say, about 3 years ago. And there are a few different associate level programs that are offered there. But beyond that, there isn't a whole lot of opportunity educationally. Some informal institutions that we have in the city. We have what's called Sunbury Revitalization, which is a community member-run organization that is trying to bring a sense of community back into the city. Sunbury Revitalization started, I'd say, probably about 5 years ago. They do different festivals and different events throughout the year to try to bring people out into the community. They put on what's called Sunbury River Fest each year, which is a festival every summer. They do, for Sunbury River Fest, they put on a cardboard boat regatta, which is this picture down here. People can enter into the contest. They build a boat out of cardboard and then take it out onto the Susquehanna River to see who's lasts the longest. Sunbury Revitalization also is responsible for putting up these hometown hero signs throughout the city. People can submit if they had a relative that was a veteran or in any of the wars. They can put up a banner to kind of honor them. And then we also have Sunbury Arts Council, which was started by a community member to bring more appreciation for the arts. They also do a bunch of events and festivals throughout the year. They put on a bluegrass music festival. They do a Harry Potter themed craft festival, and they do every year like a harvest fest. My assessment of if Sunbury is a good community or not, depending on these 9 different categories, I would say related to safety, Sunbury has a pretty low crime rate. There's not a real big threat for major natural disasters. Sunbury is right on the Susquehanna River, so flooding is always a concern in the summertime, especially when it rains. But you can see in this picture up in the right-hand corner, we have a flood wall that lines the city. So there have been a few close calls, but the river has never gone over the river wall. As far as goods and services go, there is a small variety of stores and shops within the city that people can utilize. We obviously have Wise Markets to grocery shop in. As far as housing goes, there's a lot of available apartments and houses within the city. I think the rent in Sunbury is pretty high compared to the median income, but there is opportunity for adequate goods and services. Relationships, I would say, in specific neighborhoods in the city are pretty good, but I think overall they could be better. There are different neighborhoods in the city where people are closer. There's what's called the Sunbury Hill neighborhood, which is, I don't want to say like the nicer part of town, but they're kind of like their own separate thing up on the hill. They do different events specific to that neighborhood. So I would say the relationships in that part of town are pretty good. The commonality of goals and values. There's definitely major distinctions between political parties in the city. Predominantly Sunbury is Republican, but I would think I think the younger generation in the city is more liberal. And there's definitely a distinction between the two. I would say whole person principle kind of varies, as well as recognized place in the social structure varies as well. I think it all kind of ties back to the lack of diversity in the city. Predominantly, like I said, Sunbury is Caucasian. Almost 92% of the city is Caucasian. There's a real lack of diversity. There's definitely some people in the city that are blatantly racist, and I think the city could do a better job at trying to provide opportunities for minorities and for people of color. As far as predictability goes, the day-to-day life in Sunbury is pretty predictable, not much strays from the status quo. And the opportunities, I would say, are definitely the downfall of the city. There is not a whole lot of business for people to be employed at. There's a real lack of education. We do have the Sunbury branch campus of Lackawanna College, but that only offers some associate level programs. People have to move out of the city or leave the city to go to college, and then I think they just kind of never come back. So I would definitely say there is a real lack of opportunity within the city. Overall, I would say Sunbury is a good community, but there are definitely things that they could do better.